Allison Bremner here with Cultivating Success. Tonight we're doing our whiskey version, very casual. So if you hear some ice clinking, that's what's happening. We're going to get a little personal with a couple chiropractic friends of mine. We're going to have a little casual discussion about what it's like to date a chiropractor, what it's like to have someone to actually understand what you're doing, the ups and downs, and the story. So tonight I've got three people here. My beautiful girlfriend, Dr. Jobarah, who's been in practice here in Colorado for 2 months, crushing her goals, doing great. Mm-hmm. I've got Dr. Moeskau, had to practice that for a bit. His lovely fiance, Dr. Christina Coblish. And we're going to be talking about everything that happens during practice. Thanks, guys, for being on here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Because chiropractors date chiropractors.
They do. And so, people have asked me lots what it's like to date a chiropractor, and it's great. And people have different setups. So obviously, Nora and I do not practice together, and you guys do practice together. So why don't we just start talking about that? What is it like to be in the same practice together?
Well, we've heard lots of things from lots of doctors, like Lawlers, like definitely don't work with your partner. Definitely don't date a chiropractor.
Yeah, some chiropractors have very strong opinions on like you don't want to work with your significant other.
Yeah, and our mentor, Dr. Sims, is like your partner amplifies you. So like 2 become 3. So that's kind of what we're working with.
Yeah, it was like there's a phrase. Do you remember exactly how it went? The 2?
No.
It's like the work of 2 men together is like equal to the work of 3 versus like 2 trying to work separate.
Yeah.
So when we had first discussed the possibility of Ryan joining my practice, it was not even remotely in our field of possibility that we would practice together. I think we had listened to so many other people and they were like, no, you don't want to practice with your person. Like you don't want to mix business and pleasure. You want to have like separate ink. Yeah.
But then Sims came along and was like,
Dr.
that's
Jacob
crazy.
Sims, we'll give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Chiropractor in Montrose.
He was like, do you love spending time with each other? Do you like put each other on fire? And we're like, well, yeah. He's like, then why wouldn't you work together? And he's like, well, you got a solid point there.
Granted, he has been practicing with his wife for 19 years.
Biased, but
and they have like 4 beautiful children, and they're still like madly in love, and they work together side by side.
Oh, that's awesome.
But to answer your question, it doesn't totally feel like we work together yet.
we're on opposite days.
Okay.
So we're never actually practicing side by side at the same time. Or if we do, it's very rare. I'm like helping fill in for like admin work while we're there at the same time. And those are actually really fun days, I think. But we do share everything that comes with being in practice together. So we share patients so that our patients like can bounce between the 2 of us. So we talk about cases all the time. We share like the financials that come with that. We essentially just started sharing money right away, which was also very new for me. I've never done that before.
Yeah. Normally you kind of wait from just started dating to share your bank account. But when you work at the same place, it's kind of like you have the same income. So you have to.
Okay. Well, Dr. Nor, what do you think about your experience so far dating a chiropractor and an upper cervical one? Tell them what you first said when we first met each other.
When I would tell my friends that I started dating a chiropractor, I'd be like, and she only adjusts C1. She's an upper cervical chiropractor. Like it doesn't get better than that. But really, it's been amazing. It's really incredible to just have somebody that totally understands everything that you do. And I think that for upper cervical chiropractors specifically, I think it's challenging to date a chiropractor who's not an upper cervical chiropractor because, the fundamentals and the philosophy can be so different. So I think 2 people being upper cervical specific chiropractors is pretty powerful. And I never thought that I would do it, but now that I'm in it, there are a lot of benefits that come from it. You can learn about what you're doing from a different perspective and grow in that way. But it's also really motivating because they want you to help more people. They understand the power of your adjustment and the significance of what it is that you do every day. There's no minimizing or thinking that one person's better than the other in any way because you're just totally on the same page, and you have the same goals. Even if you're doing it in a different way, so Allison and I practice very different techniques. She practices knee chest and I practice AO, which are probably on the most opposite sides of the upper cervical spectrum.
Yeah.
But, we can still come together and talk about all the great things that we've been able to do and all the ways we've been able to help people, even if the modality is a little bit different.
Yeah. And I think regardless, people are listening right now, if you date a chiropractor or not, the most important thing is that your partner has to be supportive and wants to grow personally. And since Nora and I have dated, we went to Abraham Hicks seminar together. If you don't know who that is, woo-woo money mindset stuff. And it's great because like we can talk to each other about it and the other person doesn't think it's weird. So your partner is going to directly dictate how much money that you can make. If you guys are on the same page and pushing each other, I don't care how driven you are, that's going to be an uphill battle.
You have to have the same vision for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little technique since we just kind of mentioned that. So I do knee chest, and who adjusts me? People want to know that. It's Dr.
It's
Ryan.
I do that.
He comes to my office. Sometimes I go to their office. And the other thing that's like really fun is like, so our offices are 2 miles away from each other. Possibly.
Very close. Maybe
Wow.
less.
Right.
I don't know.
And so people are like, oh, it's a competition, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's just nonsense.
Did you notice any change in your practice when I opened up?
No.
No.
You didn't know you were there.
For the record, I have a very successful practice.
I just think that like, you know, the majority of my people have never seen a chiropractor, right? And I think that you see a lot of that too.
Yeah.
So we're tapping into this market that already like, it's not like in some chiropractic offices where there's 10% of the population just rotating in between the chiropractors that are established in the area. You're seeing the population of people who, one, really need chiropractic because they've never had it. And two, are like, I don't know what the heck this is, but I'm messed up. I need help. Mm-hmm. And that population is so big that it would never impact your practice opening down the street. Yeah. So talk about your guys' technique and how your transition, Ryan, because you were knee chest in your practice.
It's funny because we were both trained knee chest in school.
I would say that's where our original friendship really we gave space for us to become close. Like we were driving to like weekend seminars together in our free time. We were practicing knee chest under the guidance of other chiropractors all the time with one another.
Always watching.
Always watching us in clinic. And yeah, so I mean, up until my last 3 weeks of school, I was also practicing knee chest. Yeah. But yeah, I'll let you maybe share your segue out of school and into Minnesota.
It's quite a story. It went from I was going to open my own practice in Oregon to I moved back to California to work in another office because my brother's neighbor was a chiropractor, to back to Minnesota where I'm from. And it just ended up being I was an associate doing full spine for a while. And I was seeing, 40, 50 people out the gate a day, and it was just tiring. Like full spine chiros, you guys have a lot of stamina because I'm a lazy upper cervical guy who gets more work done.
Hey, work smarter, not harder.
That's right. But so anyway, that practice fell through, and then I was like, well, I guess I'll do my own thing now. And I finally got to do my own technique, and that ended up being toggle and knee chest, depending on the patient. So had my own practice until what year is it? December of last year, 2021. And then I moved out here when Christina and I started dating, and essentially no one knew what knee chest was. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm doing Blair now. And I'm trying to build up on a knee chest clientele, I guess. I've got 2 people now, and it's just not something we advertise. Like the website, every ad we ever do, it's all Blair, right? So it's just kind of if people are looking for it, then I can give that, but it's not a huge.
Well, I was definitely looking for it, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's in your bio. It says that you practice knee chest. And so people who have been under knee chest before have been like, hey, I saw Ryan's bio. I've had great success with that. Can I do that technique? Yes. But I think
there's not a lot of that though.
No, there's not, I mean, 2 people in 8 months is not a lot. But yeah,
it's a nice option though. It's great that people have options, and that you can offer different techniques.
I do think that techniques, especially in upper cervical, come down to personality. So why don't you talk about that? Our personalities are different.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because I have a very AO personality. And
wait, what does that mean? I need you to expand on that.
So AO is just so particular and so mathematical and so precise, where we're looking at x-rays and putting dots on, these.
So everything has to be your way? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I really like it when everything is exactly the way that I want it to be. Yes, it's definitely, a control thing. I like to be able to control the variables. It's just very exact. I feel like I can measure things before and after very clearly. I can give people, numbers. That just makes sense in my brain. I love it. I thrive in that kind of environment. Whereas Dr. Allison,
blunt force.
Sometimes I very endearingly ask Allison if she would karate chop my neck.
And but luckily you work with another doc that can do AO on you.
Yes. So usually Dr. Katie, who I work with, who hired me, is who adjusts me most of the time, which is great because I love being under AO care.
Isn't a right atlas a right atlas?
He's
got the right bone, right side. You're already 90% of the way there.
Connection over correction, as they say.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about how each of us met. Does that sound fun?
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys have known each other for a long time.
Little web we have.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with us. We met in chiropractic school.
2014.
2014. Actually, we'll go back real far. So I was commuting like 55 minutes each way for my first year and a half of school, which was brutal.
Yeah.
And one of the days it was like horribly raining. And so I had stayed late and I was basically just like hanging out around the school waiting for the weather to chill out because I knew that my 55-minute drive commute was about to be like an hour and 55 minutes. And Ryan was there for whatever reason. And we ended up sitting in this little court, like literally on the ground in a corridor hallway for like what felt like 2 hours, like way longer than we needed to.
It was a while.
And we just talked, like I couldn't tell you what it was about, but just about getting to know each other. And that is really where our friendship started.
It was sort of like, hey, what you doing? Like, why are you just standing here not leaving? He was like, oh, I'm waiting for the rain, driving forever away.
He was like, great, I'll sit and I'll wait with you. I was like, that's a weird move, but thank you.
Good move, dude. We all went to Life West except for one of us here.
Yeah, that's me. I went out. I went to Palmer, Florida.
Were you guys
Florida.
touchy-feely? Everyone was like in a little love bubble there, or is that just a Life West thing?
So my class in particular was only like 42 people. So we had a very small class for us, which I think is a big class for Life West. Right?
Yeah, bigger.
Yeah.
We had one of the smallest classes, which made us all pretty close. Like we all looked out for each other. We all had great relationships, and we had a pretty good bond as a class.
Okay.
But most of the other classes were like 80, 90 people. So they had cliques and they had drama and they had all this. But I got really lucky with my class for sure.
A little that 70s show vibe.
No.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Yeah.
I mean,
Palmer, Florida was great because we were on the beach. That's probably the best thing about Palmer, Florida.
That would have been nice. We were in a warehouse. We were in a JCPenney's warehouse.
We're the armpit of the bay.
Yeah, it was
well,
great.
so you guys are sitting in the warehouse on the floor.
Yeah, so that's where it starts. We then fall in love with upper cervical similar times and learn that together. And we become inseparable in school. Like creepy, inseparable, do everything together. Like one of our founding bonding things that we like to reflect back on is I have this tendency, like I'm a big coffee person and I refuse to like drink coffee out of a thermos. It just like doesn't do it for me. So I like to drink it out of a ceramic cup, but I will nurse that cup of coffee for like 6 hours, which requires like 11 trips to a microwave.
Right,
yeah. Definitely times you heated it up and didn't even drink it till the next meeting.
You gotta drink a lot of coffee in chiropractic school.
Zero.
So whenever I would be like going somewhere, he's like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get my coffee. He's like, cool, I'm coming. So it just became like this thing where we like just did everything together and everyone thought we were dating and we weren't. And
surprise.
Then we surprised absolutely nobody 6.5 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years after graduation, where we, I was visiting the ribbon cutting event for his new office. And we just like, it didn't really happen like this, but I could say we like looked across the room and had like big hard eyes and we're like, oh shit.
Like, wait, do you have feelings?
This is a problem. This is a problem. But actually it from there like moved rather quickly and it was a really beautiful experience. We didn't like start dating from then, but it was just cool to go from, I don't know. I want to apologize to all of our boyfriends and girlfriends in the past who felt worried about our friendship. Like, in all honesty, like there was never, I mean, not even for half a moment were anything more than friends. And everyone was always like, yeah, but was there ever a moment where you like caught eyes and you're like, no, We can't. not now. And you know, I think it was probably one of the biggest surprises for both of us that it happened at the same time when it did. But it's been really a beautiful experience, and I'm very grateful.
Well, the
That's
timing worked out, right? Because it was probably not the right timing when you guys were in school. So.
Maybe, I mean, just as we've developed as people, it was not the right timing, but we for sure had opportunities, like where we were both single. It never really, at least for me, it's never crossed my mind. I was like, no.
It's like, actually, timing wasn't great. I just opened an office.
Yeah, the timing was horrible.
And then I just closed it after a year.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Where now it's been
also
awesome.
Sorry.
Well,
I can relate to that.
yeah, we actually have a similar story, except for hadn't known each other before.
Yeah.
And do you want to tell it?
I think you should tell the story.
I should tell the story.
Yes.
How about I start the story?
Okay.
Usually Nora tells the story.
I have to remember the details.
I know. I was going down to Palmer, Florida to help with the Knee Chest Unity event and being one of their speakers, mostly talking about business. And we had met in October of this. Oh, she's giving me a thumbs up. I'm doing it right.
You got the date right.
I was looking for the year. So
That's
October
true.
of last year. And we had met very briefly at a philosophy night that one of the students were hosting. And we briefly talked, and I was like, oh, that girl's hot. She's probably straight, though. And
Was she wearing a ring around her thumb?
Is that the tell?
okay. I don't know if this is true or not. And I've been a lesbian for a long time.
You need to speak for all gay people right now.
Yes, exactly. But apparently, Nora says that lesbians wear rings on their thumb.
I thought that to be true.
Oh.
I don't know.
She was not wearing a ring on her thumb.
I was not at that moment.
Can someone confirm or deny this?
Yes,
Yes, please comment on this post and let us know if you
if
wear
we're
a
on Joe
thumb ring
Rogan,
or are you gay.
if we're on Joe Rogan, you just like have the fact check. Like, just bring it up.
Oh, yep, here it is. Right here.
We briefly talked, and I actually had thought to myself, wow, this actually would be a really good associate in the office because
He's hot.
yeah. And put together and all the other things. And I actually tried to get her to come out to Boulder. Remember, I asked if that was Colby.
Colby.
I
I
asked
could
Colby
stay
if
with
you
her.
could stay with her.
You
And-
did try to really heavily recruit me.
Yeah.
You laid it on thick.
Well, I'm always trying to find a good associate. And then it just kind of fizzled out where we both got busy and we didn't talk. And then the next time I went down to Florida, I think I had texted you asking if you were going to go to the seminar, and you were like, no, but I'm teaching at Florida, because she was teaching the radiology portion of their upper cervical radiology portion. And she's like, would you like to have lunch, brunch, or something like that? And I said, yeah.
Drinks.
We met for brunch.
Yeah, what was your intention for this brunch?
Go
I'm
ahead.
curious
Oh.
from your side of the
Go
street.
ahead.
I mean, I honestly just thought I was meeting with a cool doctor for brunch, and she was gonna help me out, give me my insight. I mean, anytime that we had talked prior to that, she gave me, really good just practice advice, graduation advice. So I thought it was just going to be a professional business meeting, I suppose.
Was I not professional?
You were very professional.
Okay.
But I mean, looking back on it in hindsight, I was definitely a little bit nervous. I was definitely, interested. I remember thinking that she looked hot when I walked up to the chair.
We
I
didn't
walked
talk
up to
at
the
all about
table.
how hot we were. I feel like
That's all.
Brian is also very hot, in case anyone was wondering.
Oh my god, I can't even blame it on the whiskey because I'm not drinking whiskey.
That was a recent change I
Oh
learned.
god. I don't know. I mean, I was nervous. Like in the moment, I really didn't think anything of it, But we had a great brunch, and then we ended up wanting to hang out more, so we ended up going to the beach and walked on the beach. And we just talked a lot, talked a lot about where we were in practice and what we were doing in life and how we grew up, where we grew up, and, just really getting to know each other. And I think the more we talked, the more that interest grew. And it was, just really casual and really natural and just really easy to talk to each other, I think.
Yeah. And then we hung out later.
Yes.
If Grant Dennis is listening to this podcast.
Yeah, he knows about that. Any of the KCU boys know about this.
Yeah. So, then we went out
I was in a seminar. Oh my gosh, this is funny. I was at a seminar in St. Petersburg, so on the total opposite side of the state that weekend, and it ended up finishing early. So Allison was texting me saying, hey, you should come to Daytona. We're all going out after the seminar. But in my head, I'm like, I'm 3 hours away. You know, that's ridiculous. But I ended up going for whatever reason in my head that something was telling me that I needed to go. And that was fun.
It was very fun. And well, just like Ryan, then you eventually made the decision to close down your office.
Right. Yes. So that was a big transition and a really well thought out conversation that we had over time, where it seemed like a really smart move to close my office and work for somebody in a better structured environment. And that's when Allison connected me with Dr. Katie, who is one of her best friends from chiropractic school, who I'm now working for.
And how's your first 2 months going?
They've been great. I've been crushing it.
You have been crushing it.
I had to keep raising my goals because I keep hitting them, which
Stretch
is nice.
Yeah, we love a good stretch goal.
Yeah. So it's been really fun. I'm definitely busier than I thought I would be at this time. And I love it. I have a lot of freedom to do what I want and practice the way I want. I can take off time when I want. And I just work really hard during the week and see a lot of people.
Yeah, and to be clear, she's an associate, but is an independent contractor.
Independent contractor.
So good associate positions do exist.
They do. They do. Yes. Big dramatic difference from other positions that I've had in the past. So it's a nice change.
Yeah. Well, thank you for finishing that story.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like I just talked a lot. We're going to edit some of that out.
I don't think so.
They're all important details.
Let's talk about something I think a lot of docs think about, female docs specifically, and that is a name change. So, Dr. Christina,
We've thought about this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she told me the answer before you got home.
Great.
So let's see
Let's
See if it matches.
What's the date today?
26th.
26. Okay, so
August.
I would say approximately almost exactly 4 weeks ago, we just got engaged. Ryan had a
23rd.
very cute wicker basket picnic proposal to Flatirons. And I have been asked several times by just like friends, family, patients at the office, like, what are you going to do about your last name? In office right now, I am addressed by most of my patients by Dr. Coblish or Dr. C. I've got a C for both my first and last name, so I could keep that if I wanted to.
My name's hard to pronounce, so I'm Dr. Ryan.
I have practiced it.
No, your name is easy to pronounce, but if you look at the spelling, people get all goofy. If you just say it's Moeskau, I don't feel like that's like a mouthful. Is that a mouthful?
Once I have the
phonetics.
the way you said it earlier, then I
Yeah.
It's not how it looks.
So he goes by Dr. first name and I go by Dr. last name. So the concept of changing my last name just because that's not how I identify in practice feels weird. And honestly, I mentioned this to you guys earlier. I feel deeply connected to my last name, to like, it's my identity. The idea of changing my last name feels just as foreign as like changing my first name. Mm-hmm. Like if you're like, you're Amy now, I have been Amy my whole life. Like it would be very hard for me to truly, maybe this is not a bad thing, but I'd have like a loss of identity. And I don't know if I like that. Mm-hmm. I know that marriage is like, you literally like traditionally like leave your family and become one with your husband's family, but like, that's not really how marriage is done anymore. So
we merge.
Not that I'm like all like fuck the patriarchy kind of thing. I just really like my last name, and your last name's a little bit of if your last name was Smith, I don't know if that would change things.
I don't think it would.
I don't think it would. But I have talked about the concept of changing my last name legally, but just identifying and still going by my maiden last name. But for like legal documents, insurance, possible future children, all that stuff, it would look the same, but I just wouldn't go
checking
by
into hotels, stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's a possibility that my ID might reflect different than what I go by.
I know a lot of female docs that don't change the last name, especially if they met after,
right?
They've already been in practice. When I was a little kid, I knew I'd never change my last name. I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to ever marry a man, and a lot of times women keep their same last name. I know, but like Hallie and Lindsay, I know actually both are Castonic now. Mm-hmm. So you can't, I think you can there's a choice there. It's not so one-dimensional.
Would you guys ever like pick a new merged last name? I've seen couples do that.
That sounds so.
How would you even pronounce that?
Yeah.
Well, not even merged, but like I've
just like come up with another name.
Yeah.
No, that sounds so.
No. I think both of us really like her last name.
What would your merged last name be like?
Merged last name?
Yeah,
merged last name.
So my last name is Bremner and her last name is Jobarah.
Bremner.
Or Bremner.
Jobarah.
That's a good one.
I like
That
that.
actually
That's
not
not
horrible.
bad.
That's not horrible.
That's not horrible. I would not change my last name.
If Bremner was on the table, does that change?
But I also feel like I've decided that just in general that, I mean, I like my name. It flows. It's a very cultural name. You know, I feel like it connects me to my background and my heritage. Like I wouldn't want to change it. Not that Bremner is not a cool name.
Thank you.
But-
I think the same thing though. I identify with my last. Like we all say
Yeah.
the same thing. Like we
Yeah.
identify with our last name. I played sports. That was like people would call me Bremner. People still today call me Brem or Bremner.
We do not refer to you as Allison in this household when we speak about it.
Yeah. See.
Ever. If you changed your last
Sometimes
name,
I
we would.
forget.
Yeah, we would still refer to you as Bremner.
Yeah.
I think in my phone you're just Bremner too.
Probably.
I don't think you're
Probably.
first.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure this is helpful for anyone listening, but like you don't have to change your last name if you don't want to.
Fuck the patriarchy. I was told I'm allowed to cuss, so I'm just taking advantage.
I know you really dropped like 2 F-bombs on your
You want that money? I can roll it back
I
in.
think
Nope.
that's the max for PG-13.
Mm.
And if you hear a little bit of whining, they do have a new puppy.
No, that's the baby. We just put her in the room.
Do you want a peanut butter cup in here?
No, I just threw the jar in the crate.
Oh.
She doesn't want it.
She's peanutted out. Oh man. Well, we have a little more time. We've got about 5 more minutes, guys.
Okay.
Anything that you specifically want to talk about, or anything funny that's ever happened in the office with the 2 of you there?
Yeah, I think you should do the comment that we got recently last week. So because we practice on different days, like I'm there all day Monday, he's there all day Tuesday. We've got one picture of us framed in the office, and like I'm like giving him a piggyback ride and we're laughing. It looks intimate, but also potentially friendly.
We're laughing. I don't know. You could maybe see it. But yeah.
We
so-
didn't realize that not everyone realized that Dr. Ryan and Dr. Coblish were in a romantic relationship with one another.
So we have this patient who we had a picture of. We're going to be gone for the weekend for our engagement party with our parents are meeting. And, Rudy, you want to be known. And he comes in the office, sees his picture. He's like, wow, I didn't think you guys were together. Like, she's a little more country and he's a little more rock and roll.
When he talked to me privately about it, he was like, I just didn't peg you to be with someone that looks like Ryan. And I was like, I don't know how to respond to this. I'm unsure. A couple patients like cried though. They were so happy, like literally brought tears. So that was really sweet. But yeah, we did have some people just kind of funny as they had no idea for the last 8 months that we're together.
That's funny. Yeah, and then I think that like pictures in the I don't have any pictures in the office of us, and I think you're thinking about putting some pictures.
I think I might. I think it would be cute.
You might,
Yeah.
maybe.
They're like, who's this? Like, that's the doc down the road. Don't go see her.
We have a kind of funny story about, patient care. That guy that called your office and he was an AO guy. You sent him to me.
Well, I, if you've been listening to my stuff, I really push knowing your target market and having a red velvet rope. And I have a very high red velvet rope. If I think someone's difficult, I send them away. And so this guy called me, and I knew instantly that there's no way he's coming in the office. And he had said that he had been to an AO doc and had liked AO. And I'm like, yep, you should go down the street to go see Dr. Nor. He was like, no, but I want to come see you. I'm like, no, you can't though. So I text him right away and I said, hey, there's a new patient for you. He'll be a little difficult, but like standard of difficult for me, no way. For her, no big deal. Mm-hmm. And he's been great with you, yes?
Yeah, he has been great. It was funny because when he first came in, I don't remember how it came up, but I ended up mentioning that I knew you, that you were my girlfriend. That's how the information was relayed to me.
I don't know what you can do.
And yeah, he was shocked. He was just like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know that was your girlfriend. Like, wow, you guys do the same thing. That's so cool. Then we kind of went down that conversation. But yeah, that's definitely a perk.
Yeah, but then what did he say about me?
Oh, you want me to say all of that?
Yeah.
Oh man, he's like, wow, she's tough. He's like, if I had to take a boot camp class or something, I would not want her to be my coach. Something like that. He's like, she really knows what she wants, huh? And just kept making comments like that. I'm like, yeah, you would not have been a good fit for her office. I'm really glad you came here.
Yeah.
And he's been great, but it's funny because every time I see him and he says certain things, I'm just like, oh my God, Allison would not take this.
Yeah, I just at this point in practice, I really know who I'm meant to serve, and those that I'm not meant to serve. It's not to mean that they don't need chiropractic. They do, just not by me. Not from me.
Send them to Nor.
That's right.
No, we have. I was just thinking of other things in the office that are, I don't know, sometimes challenging. Is like you can't just. It's like being bachelor to no longer a bachelor. You have to run everything by your partner, because it's like this isn't just a one doc show anymore. So
it was a bit of a transition for me, for sure, because it was my baby.
Yeah. I mean, it was like I was closing mine to join yours, and you had to open the door for someone to join yours. So it was like
that's tough for sure.
Different give and take.
Yeah.
But we definitely have come a long way, and we're now like switching EHRs, and this is a big transition, and all these decisions to like get more efficient and like make more money, see more people, get more out there.
I don't think anything negative has come up thus far. We can be any inspiration to you guys if we're joining forces.
Just like, not even rough patches, but like times of like, we need to make sure we're both on the same page of where we want to see this practice go. So like, what decisions can we make together to do that?
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the negative is that you're just always talking about it. And like, we'll be like, okay, last thing. Well, okay, last thing. And then like literally our focus will shift to something, and then we're just talking about it again.
Yeah.
Like
we will literally sit down to eat a meal and say, okay, we're not going to talk about work. We're not going to talk about chiropractic. And probably within 5 minutes
the reality though is it's always something positive or something we're excited about.
Yeah.
It's not a negative thing.
Right.
It's just that like at some point you do need to let your brain chill out.
We have a very important work-life balance rule, and since our days are opposite, it's hard, because if the other one in the office needs something, like we have to be available to like either answer a question like, oh, you didn't fill this soap note out, like never do that. Like, it's just like, what did Mr. Smith need? He's asking like about an exercise or something, and you're like, oh shit, sorry, I forgot to tell you. And it's like things like that when you're off, like hiking with the dogs, and you're like, I'm not needing to be in this mindset right now.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of those boundaries being set. But overall, I think with the right partner, it becomes something that's very good.
For sure.
I really like that we are working separately, because we have, totally separate patient bases, totally separate goals. I mean, big picture, we have very similar goals, but in terms of, my office, my collections goals, my patient goals and things like that. And we can talk about it in a way that we really push each other and motivate each other, to reach those goals. And then when I do reach it, I'm always so excited to send Allison a text and be like, holy shit, I just hit whatever number for collections this week.
She's so much more genuinely excited because she knows what it takes, right? And so how cool is that to have a partner that can literally probably feel just to like as close to as much like proudness and excitement as you probably personally feel.
You're so right. It's true, because I could tell these goals and accomplishments to somebody else who's not an upper cervical chiropractor.
Rad, good job.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, and I definitely reap the benefits of the fact that Allison's had her practice for a little while, so she's able to tell me marketing tips, marketing advice, like things that have worked for her, things she's spent money on that have been good investments, bad investments. So that's definitely a perk.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're crushing it, and you've exceeded what I thought you would do within your first 2 months. So,
well, would you look at that?
Would you look at that? All right, guys, I think we're just about out of time. We're going to do a whiskey version of Cultivating Success probably every 3 months. We're just going to casually talk to probably one of my chiropractic friends before we go out on a date night. So,
yeah.
Thanks for listening. So, cheers.